皆さん、こんにちは。ローズです。Do you like my new setup? Welcome back to Nihongo. このビデオでは、レッスン32の文法を紹介します。でも、その前に、レッスン31番の文法を復習しましょう。First, we've learned about volitional form. So, to change a Japanese mass verb into volitional form, first, for group 1, we just change the I syllable into O and then add U. For example, ikimasu becomes iko. So, ki becomes ko. For group 2 verbs such as tabemasu, we remove mas and then change it to yo. So, tabemasu becomes tabeyo. And then for group 3, such as shimasu, we remove mas and then add yo in the end. So, shimasu becomes shiyo. Now, how do we use this volitional form of the verb? So, one use of this is the plain form of the nani nani masho, or the let's do something. So, for example, tsukareta kara kyukei shimashou. So, if you want to change kyukei shimashou into plain form, or the casual way of talking, we change it to kyukei shiyou. So, shimasu becomes shiyou. Tsukareta kara, I'm tired, so kyukei shiyou. Let's take a break. We've also learned using volitional form and then adding nani nani to omotteimasu, which means I have been thinking of doing something. So, for example, I want to go on a trip, or I have been planning, or I have been thinking of going on a trip with my husband. So, 主人と旅行へ行こうと思っています。Another one is we've learned the nani nani tsumori desu. So, this is used when you intend or you've decided to do something. So, this is much certain compared to nani nani to omotteimasu. So, for example, I intend to finish until lesson 50 by the end of June. 6月末までにレッスン50まで終わるつもりです。Next, we've learned about nani nani yotei desu when we want to express our plan or schedule. So, for example, 会議は1時に始まる予定です。The meeting is planned or is scheduled to start at 1 o'clock. Next, we've learned about mada in a negative sentence. So, this means that haven't done verb yet. For example, まだ読んでいません. Haven't read it yet. And lastly, we've learned about demonstrative words such as これ or この. So we've learned before that when we want to refer to the previous topic, we use それは何々 or この何々. But here you can also use これ or この何々 when you want to express as if that thing you're talking about is already there. For example, この仕事は給料が高いです. So, if for example, you previously mentioned about a job and you want to describe it more. So, as if this job is here, you can use この仕事は給料が高いです. This job, it has a high paying salary or it pays well. はい。じゃあ、大丈夫ですか？それでは、32番の文法を勉強しましょう。Here are the grammar points for today's lesson. The first one is verb た方がいいです. This is used to make a suggestion or give advice. So if you remember from our vocabulary, ほ means direction towards something. So we first encountered this word in lesson 12. If you remember the pattern noun, の方が adjective this. So noun is and then the adjective. So we express our preference or our choice. So for example, cats are cuter. 猫の方が可愛いです.
Using the same pattern, we'll just change noun to a verb.
The first one is using a positive sentence, which is a verb in ta form, followed by ho ga ii desu. So this means it's better to do verb, or you should do verb. You can also use the opposite or the negative sentence by using the verb in nai form. So this means better not, or you should not do something. Verb nai ho ga ii desu. For example, it's bad for the body, so you better quit smoking. 体に悪いですからタバコをやめた. So our verb is to quit or やめます. So in ta form, it becomes やめた followed by 方がいいです. 体に悪いですからタバコをやめた方がいいです. Next example. Hotels get crowded in summer, so you should make a reservation early. 夏休みにはホテルが混みますので、早く Our verb is make a reservation, which is 予約します. We change it to ta form, so it becomes 予約した followed by 方がいいです. 夏休みにはホテルが混みますので、早く予約した方がいいです. Another example. Do you have a fever since yesterday? You better go to the hospital. 昨日から熱が続いていますか? 病院へ行った方がいいです. And one more example. Are you feeling bad? You better not work too much. 調子が悪いですか? 無理をしない. So here we are using a negative verb. So we are using 無理をします, which is to work too much, and make it into ない form. So we just change the ます to ない. 無理をしない followed by 方がいいです. 調子が悪いですか? 無理をしない方がいいです. So, using this grammar pattern, this may sound like you are imposing your opinion or advice to the listener, so you have to be careful when using this. When you want to give your advice or suggestion without sounding too imposing, or you don't want to push your idea too much, but you still want to give your advice, it is better to use 何々たらいいです. If you remember, we've learned this in lesson 26, but it's in question form. This is used when you want to ask for a recommendation. However, in a normal sentence or a positive sentence, we can use this as a way to give our advice or suggestion. So it literally means if or when you do this, it's good. But it's roughly translated to, it will be a good idea if nani nani. For example, if someone says, I can't fit in my pants anymore. ズボンにもう入らない. So, instead of saying, you better do some exercise, 運動した方がいいです. This sounds more imposing. So if you are close to that person, it's okay. But if you're not very close and you want to give a suggestion without being harsh or being aggressive, it is better to use the verb たらいいです. I think or it's a good idea. So as you can see, it's much softer and less harsh compared to the first one. It's a good idea if you do some exercise. 運動したらいいです or 運動したらいいと思います. Next pattern is 何々でしょう, which is used to express that something will happen. You use this pattern when you forecast that something will probably happen or you imagine that in the future something will happen. You will often hear this when you watch news report about the weather. So they are giving predictions about the weather. So you will often hear nani nani desho when they talk. So to use this, we take the verb and change it to plain form, and then followed by desho. For adjectives, na adjectives, and nouns, they remain as is, and then you just attach desho after. For example, the rain will probably stop in the evening. Yugata ni wa ame ga, our verb is stop. For rain, we use yamimasu. So we change it to plain form. So it's yamu. Yamimasu becomes yamu. Followed by desho. Yugata ni wa ame ga yamu desho. Next example. There's a meeting in the afternoon. The department head will probably be busy. So here we are using an adjective. Gogo wa kaigi desu kara. There's a meeting in the afternoon, so buchou wa isogashii. So busy is isogashii desho. Gogo wa kaigi desu kara buchou wa isogashii desho. Another example is using a na adjective. 50,000 yen will probably be enough for a 2-week trip. 2週間の旅行には5万円が十分でしょう。2週間の旅行は5万円が十分でしょう。And lastly, we will use a noun. Continued fever for 3 days? It's probably influenza. 3日間熱が続いているんですか？インフルエンザでしょう。3日間熱が続いているんですか？インフルエンザでしょう。We can also use this in a question form. The speaker is asking the listener about something they're not sure about. It also implies that the speaker is a little worried or is wondering about something. So same with the first one, we use the plain form of the verb and adjectives, na adjectives, and nouns as is. So this could be translated to, do you think nani nani? So for example, do you think we will be in time for the train, or do you think we can catch the train? So here the speaker is worried about something. Densha ni, our verb is be in time, or maniaimasu. We change it to plain form, so we have maniau followed by deshou ka. Densha ni maniau deshou ka? Another example. There's a missing ingredient. I wonder if that's okay. So here, it's more of a rhetorical question. So here the speaker is not really expecting any answer, but he's just wondering. 材料が足りないけど、それでいいんでしょうか? Or いいでしょうか? So we just put just to soften it a little bit. 材料が足りないけど、それでいいんでしょうか? The next one is using 何々かもしれません, which is used to express about possibilities. This expresses the possibility that an event or a state happened or will happen or is happening. So this is less certain compared to nani nani desho. So it's much lower or less certain. So just like the previous ones, we use the plain form of the verb again and then attach kamoshiremasen. Also for e adjectives, na adjectives and nouns, we use them as is and just attach かもしれません. So this basically translates to something might. For example, I'll clean up a bit. A guest might come today. So here the speaker is saying that there's a possibility that a guest might show up, but he is less certain. So he will use かもしれません. ちょっと掃除します. お客さんが来る. So from the verb come, which is 来ます, we change it to plain form, which is 来る, followed by かもしれません. ちょっと掃除します. お客さんが来るかもしれません. I'll bring my coat. It might be cold in the evening. So here we are using an e adjective. コートを持っていきます。夕方には寒いかもしれません。コートを持っていきます。夕方には寒いかもしれません。Next example. I'll go by train because there might be no parking space. 電車で行きます。駐車場がないかもしれません。So the verb is ありません。So we change it to plain form, which is ない。電車で行きます。駐車場がないかもしれません。And last example is using a na adjective. My father is really strict, so it's probably a no. お父さんはすごい厳しいからダメかもしれない。So here we are using the plain form of かもしれません, which is 知れない。お父さんはすごい厳しいからダメかもしれない。Next are adverbs for possibility, such as きっと、多分 or もしかしたら。First is the adverb きっと, meaning surely. This adverb shows that the speaker is quite certain of what he or she is saying, which is same level as the show. For example, Serena is practicing that much. Surely she will win the game. セリナさんはあんなに練習しているから、きっと試合で勝つでしょう。セレナさんはあんなに練習しているから、きっと試合で勝つでしょう。The next one is the adverb 多分 or maybe. This adverb is less certain than きっと, often paired with と思います。For example, it's already time. Do you think the teacher will come? もう時間です。先生は来るでしょうか? Maybe he'll probably come. 多分来るでしょう。Or maybe I think he'll come. 多分来ると思います。And last is the もしかしたら, meaning possibly. This adverb is often used with 何々かもしれません, which indicates that there is a less possibility for something to happen. For example, sorry, I need to do my report. I might not be able to go to the party. ごめん、レポートをやらないといけない。もしかしたら、パーティーに行けないかもしれません。Next is using indefinite pronouns. So indefinite pronouns are words such as something, someone, somewhere, someday, etc. In Japanese, 何か、誰か、どこか、いつか. So here we pair it with a noun. For example, is something bothering you? Something is 何か. And our noun is 心配なこと, which means a thing or something. So we describe this noun as 心配. 心配 means to worry or be worried. And this is a na adjective, so we add na. 心配なこと。A thing that is bothering you or the speaker or the listener. 何か心配なことがあるんですか？何か心配なことがあるんですか？ Next example. I got chocolates from someone I don't know. Someone is 誰か and our noun is someone or a person that we don't know. Don't know is 知らない followed by 人. So this is our noun. Someone we don't know. 知らない人にチョコレートをもらいました。誰か知らない人にチョコレートをもらいました。Another example. Is there a good restaurant somewhere? どこか or somewhere. いいレストラン Our noun is restaurant and we're describing it as a good restaurant. どこかいいレストランありますか? And last example. Let's meet when you're in Tokyo someday. いつか東京にいるとき So, 東京にいる when you're in Tokyo 会いましょう。いつか東京にいるとき会いましょう。So, if you notice, we pair each indefinite pronoun with a noun. So here, 何か with something and 誰か with a person and so on. And last is the quantifier followed by the particle de, which indicates the limit of price, time, quantity, and so on. We've learned many uses of the particle de, and one of them is when we want to mark the tool or the instrument that we are going to use in order to do something. For example, 電車で行く I'll go by train. Or 箸で食べる I will eat by using a chopsticks. So it's the same concept here. Using this amount or with this amount or with this limit of space, time, quantity, I will do this action. For example, can I buy a gaming computer for 100,000 yen? 10万円で So, for 100,000 or using 100,000 yen, ゲーミングパソコンが買えますか? Another example. Can you fix the car in 1 hour? 1時間で So, in 1 hour. Using an hour. 車を直せますか? Is 100 copies enough? 100枚のコピーで or using 100 copies 足りますか? Is it enough? 100枚のコピーで足りますか? はい、以上です。大丈夫ですか? もし質問かコメントがあったら下に書いてください。あとはこのビデオは役に立ったらlike ボタンと subscribe ボタンを押してくださいね。じゃあ、I'll see you in the next one. またねー。